It was 10 a.m. in a quiet, upscale neighborhood. A woman stood at a front door twisting her key, but it didn't work. So what did she do? She called 911, claimed, "This is my house." But the truth? That house belonged to someone else now. And the person who answered her 911 call was my son. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a classic Karen meltdown. It was another sun-baked Tuesday in Willow Creek, that too-perfect suburb where every lawn was mowed within an inch of its life, and every piece of outdoor decor had seen the HOA's stamp of approval. Birds danced above identical rooftops, and the scent of freshly baked cookies wafted through the air, masking the rumble of lawnmowers and the insistent hum of sprinklers. At the end of one particularly pristine cul-de-sac stood 114 Maple Court, its newly painted white picket fence gleaming in the late morning light. But the house had already changed hands 2 weeks prior. The Lanes, Liam and Sarah, were off on their honeymoon in Santorini, entirely unaware that their dream move-in had already been complicated. It was around that time that Karen Hollingsworth, the vice president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, clutched an overstuffed leather tote and marched purposefully up the driveway. With her platinum bob nearly blinding in the sunlight and her designer stilettos clicking against the concrete, she looked the picture of suburban authority. In her hand, she carried the infamous HOA master key, a sleek keyring holding every stubby silver skeleton key for every house in the community. She had never needed to use one for her own front door before. That would have been too pedestrian. But today something felt off. She knew exactly what she was doing and why. After all, it was her civic duty to ensure every homeowner respected the standards she upheld, or so she told herself. Karen slid the key into the lock of 114's front door. She glanced around. No one should be watching, certainly not the neighbors taking early afternoon tea on the porch next door. This was purely administrative. 4 deft attempts, turn, click, pull, yielded nothing but silent resistance. The doorknob remained stubbornly in its default position. Fog rolled across the inside of her mind as she angled the key differently, jiggled the knob, even flicked her wrist in what she considered a stylish flourish. Every motion was met with that same cold, locked-out feeling. Red-faced, she sat back on her heels and muttered to herself, "This is absurd. Something has changed. They must have rekeyed. But 2 weeks? That's fast." She drew a slow, deliberate breath, straightened her boa and blazer, and pressed the key again more firmly. Nothing. Somehow, implausibly, she could feel the presence of real estate turnover. The Lane couple must have changed the lock after closing. "Fine," she murmured, voice taut with controlled irritation. "If they won't comply, I'll get this fixed." She pressed her phone against her ear, swiped through her contacts until she found the only number that would get immediate attention. 911. The tone was professional, even haunted. 911, what's your emergency? As though the dispatcher expected a raging fire or a bleeding victim, not a house inspection gone awry. She cleared her throat. "Yes, this is Karen Hollingsworth. I'm at 114 Maple Court, Willow Creek HOA. I can't get my master key to work." A thoughtful pause. "You need the police?" the dispatcher asked, clipped but curious. "No," she said after a beat. I think the lock's been changed illegally. Someone must be off code." It took another minute before the dispatcher turned it into an official call. Type code 1050, non-emergency locked out. For Karen, though, it was the highest level of civic invasion. Lives were at stake. Neighborhood aesthetics were at stake. The tense tick of seconds between her composed tone and the distant rumble of authorities arriving was agonizing. At the Willow Creek station, 19-year-old Alex Lane, a recent college grad and newly minted emergency dispatcher, sat before dual screens. On the left, calls stacked in a digital queue. On the right, a map dotted with active symbols, accidents, alarms, medical calls. 5 miles away, Karen's call lit up as non-emergency, possible HOA violation. The dispatcher badge flashed next to the contact info. Alex blinked twice. The name jumped out. Lane. He'd just talked to his father about that route. Didn't think it'd be his own street, though. Another dispatch popped up. Do you want police responders dispatched to that location, code 1050? Alex hesitated, heart thumping. Yes. Send someone. He keyed in the order. His voice sounded calm into the mic, but inside he was already worried. Traffic, weather, location, all logistical. He pictured Officer Jenkins, who'd been training him on street names and procedures. He knew Jenkins would handle this with the patience of Solomon and the charm of a travel guide. Down the line, Jenkins got the assignment. Willow Creek, Maple Court, civic assistance locked out, possibly HOA official. He chuckled. Back on Maple Court, Karen paced. The clicking of her heels sounded like staccato applause. She tilted her head as the lobby lights of her phone blinked with an incoming audio ping. He should be here any second. She stared at the lock. Must be new owners. I'll... A pair of headlights turned into the circular end of the cul-de-sac and parked politely along the curb. A dark SUV, standard police issue, rolled to a stop. Officer. Jenkins stepped out, adjusting his belt, badge gleaming against his navy uniform. He approached with measured steps, careful not to crowd the space. Afternoon, ma'am, he said with a nod. Officer Jenkins, Willow Creek PD. You called about a locked-out situation? Karen took heart. That badge, that calm voice. This man would see reason. Yes, don't you see how egregious this is? Your master key doesn't work, so they clearly changed the lock without notifying the HOA. That's fraud. It's a bylaws violation. I get it, Jenkins interrupted gently, nodding. Let me see the key, and if you have ID or proof of residence, I'll check. Karen flipped the keychain with satisfaction and handed her license through the chain-link screen of the patrol car. A pause. Jenkins squinted at the address. 114 Maple Court, he read. Slowly he looked up. You sure you live at 114 Maple Court? Her tone faltered. Yes. Since forever. Well, since I've owned for years. He studied the address. There's a 114 Sycamore Lane, too. Are you sure this is Maple? A crease formed across her forehead. Sycamore. No, this is Maple. Meanwhile, across town, Alex's headset beeped. A two-way communication alert from Jenkins. Got a potential address snag. Can you check if Karen Hollingsworth is registered at Maple or Sycamore? He typed furiously into the system. HOA roster, property records. The alert popped. Karen Hollingsworth ownership, 114 Sycamore Lane. He blinked. 114 Sycamore. That was the other Karen, not Maple Court. He spoke into headset. Officer Jenkins calling from dispatch. The records show Hollingsworth owns 114 Sycamore, not Maple. Jenkins blinked. On site, he relayed, Ma'am, records indicate your address is on Sycamore Lane, not this one. The wind knocked a tumbleweed of leaves across the pavement. For a long moment, Karen's posture deflated, then reinflated like a punctured balloon she couldn't quite let go of. No, she whispered. That can't be. Alex listened, musicians calling out notes he didn't quite want to hear. Ma'am, you called about missing your key on Maple Court, but home is on Sycamore, Jenkins said. Karen's nostrils flared. She lifted the master key, inspecting it like a birthright before dropping it into the crook of her arm. They switched our keys. Didn't tell me. Jenkins remained polite. Ma'am, would you like me to drive you over to Sycamore so we can see where you're supposed to be? Humiliation struck, and it came slow and torturous. She forced May to nod. Yes, she croaked. With outward grace, he motioned her to the patrol car. Certainly. I'll just check on your possession of the right one. He guided her onto the curb. She kept her chin high, even as her cheeks burned. Dispatch went silent for the interval it took them to drive across town. Alex took a slow sip from lukewarm coffee, then got the update. Officers en route with homeowner. He activated the map link. Sycamore Lane lay 3 streets over. Arriving, the scene was surreal. Another 114, same house style, same pristine, lawn, same white fence, but with a blue pickup out front and a welcome mat card with Lane spelled in joyful script. The Lanes weren't even there. Neighbors told Jenkins they were honeymooning. But there was the lock. Officer Jenkins slid his key into the lock. It turned. He opened the door and stepped back. "See? That's your lock." Karen stared. Dispatch beeped. Live channel. Alex heard the police show her credential records one more time. She slumped back, exhaling as if deflating. I must have misremembered," she said in that brittle tone of denial. Jenkins nodded. He was that kind of calm. "Ma'am, maybe it hasn't been your house for some time." A taxi rolled up. He stood, offered his arm politely. "Let's head back." She nodded, still angry, still embarrassed, still certain everyone was conspiring to ruin HOA order. Later that night, Alex flipped open his laptop and logged into the Willow Creek Facebook group. The afternoon's hilarious twist had exploded into community lore. HOA Karen tries to break into someone else's house. Screenshots circulated of dispatch logs, minus personal data, of course. The jokes were merciless. Alex stared at the screen. Better get used to this, he thought. Welcome to dispatching in Willow Creek.